Well, as you all might have noticed, it seems like everyone right now is talking about H-1B visas, work visas for highly skilled foreigners so that they can come to America and help build our high-end workforce. And so there's a divide. Some people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy think that H-1B visas are awesome and just the best thing in the world, while others think that these jobs should be given to Americans and that Americans should be trained for these sort of jobs. Now, what a lot of people seem to forget is that regarding these H-1B highly skilled work visas, the legendary Tucker Carlson several years ago actually had one of the most awesome and epic monologues of all time. Take a look.
The rideshare company Uber has fired more than 1,000 workers since July, mostly Americans. That's about 2% of its workforce. Meanwhile, during the same period, the federal government has approved hundreds of new H-1B visas for Uber. And that means they can replace those workers with foreign scabs who will work for less. It's like outsourcing, but even easier because Uber doesn't even have to build a new building. Now, there's nothing unusual about what Uber is doing. There's bipartisan consensus in Washington that we desperately need smart people from overseas to do the jobs that Americans are too badly educated to do. No reason to fix our schools or make sure higher education is serious and non-frivolous. We can just import people from countries that take education seriously. And that's what we do. That's why the U.S. government passes out foreign worker visas to allow corporations to replace people like you with people who live 6,000 miles away.
And so obviously this situation is ridiculous and frankly anti-American. It's almost like whoever's making these policies just don't want people like you and me to be successful. Not only is it cheaper to bring in a bunch of H-1B foreign workers, but also companies are incentivized to diversify their workforce in accordance with various DEI hiring practices, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which pretty much means no white men on the workforce. Now, as if all of this wasn't bad enough, it gets worse. Take a look at this.
They get, in effect, a tax subsidy for hiring foreigners over U.S. citizens. How's that for America Last? Maybe the program would make sense if Americans really couldn't fill all those jobs, but it turns out there are plenty who could. Just ask the thousands who were recently laid off by Uber. According to the Economic Policy Institute, fully half of all American STEM majors, that is, people who study technology, don't end up working in STEM jobs. Isn't that weird? The only people who actually benefit from these visa programs are tech billionaires in Silicon Valley. They're getting richer no matter what. And the foreign nationals who want to live in San Francisco. And our government makes it easy for them to do that. Who gets hurt? Well, among others, the college graduates who took on huge amounts of student loan debt only to be dumped into a system where their foreign replacements get preference over them. This is happening on a grand scale, and both parties are for it, including many Republicans in Washington. It tells you a lot about where their priorities are.
And so, as Mr. Tucker Carlson points out, this myth that we just don't have the intellectual capital inside of America to fill these jobs, so we need to import a bunch of H-1B highly skilled foreign workers from India, which is where most of them come from, by the way, is just complete and total baloney. And so here's the thing, there's actually a public H-1B database that we can see exactly where all these visas are going. We'll take a look at Tesla, for instance, which is hiring dozens of H-1B employees, all of which are entry-level positions and making less than $100,000 a year. And I'm supposed to believe that we just don't have Americans that can do these jobs? Yeah, give me a freaking break. Now, here's something some of you guys might remember. In 2016, Donald Trump actually gave a written statement regarding H-1B visas, and he absolutely roasted them. Take a look. As Donald Trump wrote, "The H-1B program is neither high-skilled nor immigration. These are temporary foreign workers imported from abroad and for the explicit purpose of substituting for American workers at lower pay. I remain totally committed to eliminating rampant, widespread H-1B abuse that occurred at Disney when Americans were forced to train their own foreign replacements. I will end forever the use of H-1B as a cheap labor program and institute an absolute requirement to hire American workers first for every visa and immigration program, no exceptions." Alright, so that's a message that I think all of us can get behind. And now hearing this from Trump in 2016 is what makes it so frustrating to hear guys like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are now in Donald Trump's inner circle, trying to champion H-1B visas as a great way to improve the American workforce. Now, you notice how Donald Trump specifically mentioned Disney when he was talking about H-1B visas? Let me show you what really happened there. American Disney workers were forced to train H-1B immigrant foreign workers to be their own replacements over a period of 90 days. This is the reality of H-1B visas.
The final period of the 90 days was the most disgraceful and demoralizing, as we had to watch the foreign workers completely take over our jobs. And we came to grips that the upcoming Disney jobs promise didn't exist. Then finally, on January 31st of 2015, we were ordered to turn in our company badges, laptops, and then ushered out the door.
Here's the reality. H-1B visas are a scam and only serve to benefit the employer at the cost of the American worker. Americans are the absolute best and brightest people on the entire planet, and you can bet your ass that if there's a job that needs to get done, there's an American that can do it. Supporting these H-1B visas are just about as anti-American as it possibly gets, their sole purpose being only to replace hardworking red-blooded Americans with rootless foreign transplants that only care about this country to the degree that they can make money here. And you know what? Here's the cherry on top of all of this. This country didn't even have H-1B work visas until 1990, which is long after this country's most economically prosperous and innovative era. So this notion that America just needs these H-1B highly skilled foreign workers is just ridiculous. But as we all know, many of these H-1B workers aren't even highly skilled, as we've all been led to believe. They're just cheap labor being imported to fill mundane jobs that almost any American could do. All of this talk about H-1B highly skilled labor is just classic gaslighting from the elite to get us all to go along with selling out our own country so that they can make a little bit more money. You're going to lose your job because your employer can replace you with an Indian guy for half as much money. Sorry. No, we're not going to do that. We didn't vote for Donald Trump to carry out mass deportations only for him to then import God knows how many highly skilled foreign laborers. And I don't even care if they're here legally or illegally. American workers and America at large needs to be put first. Period. America first. This is non-negotiable. This is why we elected Donald Trump. This is why we gave him the mandate that we did. We did not vote for him to import 100,000 foreign workers from India every single year to do jobs that Americans are perfectly capable of doing themselves. And so I pray that Trump talks some sense into Elon and Vivek and lets them know that this whole H-1B thing is not going to fly. Because we really don't know how Trump himself feels about the H-1B situation at the moment, and it's only his opinion that really matters. Elon and Vivek can think what they want, but Trump really has the final call, and so I hope he listens to his base on this one. And I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit impassioned, but this is genuinely a really, really important topic, and I think the more people talk about it, the higher the odds that Trump actually listens to us. But I'm telling you guys, H-1B visas are just one form of this globalist ideology that undermines America and undermines the American worker. And so when this stuff pops up, we have to make our voices heard. And so that is the truth behind these H-1B highly skilled immigrant work visas. But hey, I want to know what you guys think about all of this, so please drop a comment down below. Please like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe, that's huge, and it helps a ton. Thank you all very much for watching, and as always, stay safe.